Shalom, brothers and sisters. This is your brother Uziel, back again with another MLC. Before we get started here, just want to give proper respect and honor and glory to the Most High Yahweh and His Son Yahweh Shai. And I want to say shalom to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. That's the real tribes of Yasharallah. Warning. The intent, purpose, and focus of this video is to address the real 12 tribes of Yasharallah scattered abroad. Just want to make this clear. So if you're a heathen and you're up in this video, this is not for you. You were warned. This is about Yasharallah, and we're doing what we can to rebuild our nation. So since, people aren't picking on us, aren't giving us bogus charges, since people aren't threatening to shut down channels, since people aren't threatening, our freedom of speech, we know that, we're not being messed with or anything. So, since those things aren't happening, I just wanted to go ahead and make a little statement and disclaimer. If you are Yasharallah, listen up. If you're not, this is the time to go to another video. Verbal abuse, domestic violence, rape, kidnap, forced prostitution, incest, spit on, slapped, ran down, drug trafficked, used like a old glove, murdered, and flushed away like soiled toilet paper. The Conspiracy to Destroy Black Women by Michael Porter. So, brothers and sisters, this is a really, really good book. We don't hear about these things too often. A lot of times, we're real hard on our sisters, and in a way, we have to be. But the large portion of us being hard on our sisters is still dealing with captivity. I don't know if you've seen the latest video I did on captivity. I was able to, get the point across in under 7 minutes. It's doing okay so far. Most high willing, it's being, sent to the right people. Those who might have writer's block or, might have things to say to the nation, but, not know, where to go from or whatever. But anyways, getting back to the book here. This book, we actually need to be approaching the issues with our sisters from the aspect of books like these. All too often, our sisters are really not talked about. They are kind of, thrown under the bus. A lot of the sisters that just can't get it right, they are kind of villainized. We can't just clear cut across the board and say all of our sisters are wicked. If we were to do that, we'd have to clear cut across and say all the brothers is wicked as well. When I used to work in bars back in the day, I used to do security back in the bars. I used to always get the offer to go and go to the strip club, after work. There were times when, even other jobs I worked at, Friday night came, and this is before brother was in the truth, all the employees, the employees, they were like, hey, let's go to the, strip joint. And so, I think there was one time I was in a strip club and I had did some off work. I think I was like selling some oils or something like that. And so a couple of the women I was with, they went in there, and they got a lot of sales in there. So, I seen this sister, and the look on her face, when I seen her and she saw me, it was like a spiritual thing that hit me. And I know to a lot of brothers that, it registers something different for them. But for me, it really bothered me because I can tell she was not in the place she wanted to be. And so, just to clear the record, brothers who, have disrespectful things to say about our sisters that are, living that life, taking their clothes off, being sex objects and all that, we are directly responsible for those things. I'm going to explain why. How can a harlot be a harlot? How can a harlot have a art and a craft? Okay. Even to the makeup she puts on, the clothes she puts on, the fragrances that she puts on. How can she be who she is without a man being tempted? Okay. So this is like a rat having bad things to say about cheese. Well, see, that rat likes that cheese, and so the cheese doesn't sit there and mold. If it does, it's because it's out of the rat's view. It's out of the mouse's view. And so the same thing. I have to look at this from the same perspective with our sisters. When our sisters are, downtrodden and going through sex, slave trade, and all the stuff that they've gone through. For the most part, they are entertaining men. And if men did not like a specific thing, they would get no attention. Okay. Didn't the Most High tell Eve that, her desire would be towards her husband? Well, that's kind of the rule for all women. Look at some of the biggest female artists today. No matter how bad they talk about men, a lot of them are going home to them or are married to them. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So again, this book was well needed. This book was the copyright of this book is 2001, and so I'm gonna go ahead and go to page 1 here. So chapter 1 is titled "When Love Hurts: Spouse Abuse and Sexual Molestation." Okay. And it reads, while working as a child and family therapist, I had the opportunity to help many families deal with issues of domestic violence, verbal and physical abuse of the female spouse, and sexual molestation of the children. In my practice, I found that insecurities, the use of control, fear to assure loyalty, and the displacement of anger were the reasons men battered their wives. Okay. There's probably some brothers who can identify with this. I, for one, I don't have the story of a lot of brothers that, they were raised by grandma or they were raised by, just their mom. I did frequent my grandma's house a lot. I got a huge family. So the cool thing was about that was, family was always coming over. So whenever I spent the night with either one of my grandmas, it was pretty cool. But a lot of love in the house, for the most part. So and grandma actually she solved the problems. And so just looking at this book, I just want to let brothers and sisters know that this is dealing from the aspect of the sisters. Okay. The daughters, the mothers, and the grandmothers. Brothers, you will be put on the spot in this book. Okay, look at the title again: The Conspiracy to Destroy Black Women. So don't get it in your head that this brother Michael Porter is just caping for sisters, because you can take that the wrong way, but you need to read more deeply into the book. The more you read, the more you start to understand. Okay. So anyways, some of us have had fathers that have come home very frustrated. Why are they frustrated? They're dealing with Esau's kingdom. They knew it, but they didn't know it. Okay, they understand it from a white man's world perspective, but not from a biblical perspective. That this technically is his kingdom. So we are still serving our punishment. So we have to deal with the problems that come about. They're all listed in Deuteronomy 28. Then various other areas. And then again, what was written aforetime was written for our learning. So we see examples of a lot of the stuff that Solomon himself said. Nothing's new under the sun. So we're seeing a lot of the same stuff that's been happening kind of over and over and over again whenever we've been put in any kind of captivity. This one's just hella brutal. Okay, so a lot of us have had fathers that have come home frustrated, pissed off at their bosses, and again, that's just a portion of our captivity. So let me go ahead and read on a little bit. Okay. Ironically, these dynamics are also active in the patriarchal white male supremacist power structure. Consequently, American society does not embrace trusting, patient, secure male-female relationships. Okay, insecurity, control, and anger displacement arise when white men experience job loss, financial setbacks, diminished social status, or sexual impotence. Okay, feelings of love for the wife are selfishly based on the husband's material status. And we see that a lot. I got this, I got that. Whatever happened to love. Whatever happened to love. A lot of people, everything is based off of what sells. One of the things that I pointed out, in that last video I did, that they make money off of our pain and suffering. That's what they do. What's the best way to remain dominant and at the same time keep those who are technically speaking a challenge to you? How do you keep them destroyed? Well, they got to learn to hate each other. This is why when you look at Zephaniah 2:1, as I've said before, and I'm going to keep saying this, gather yourselves together, O nation not desire. Okay, O nation not desired. What's the opposite of that? The opposite of that is to divide and conquer. So if you're ever lost and you never understand who your enemy is, and we're going to go in a little bit deeper about who this man is, not necessarily in this video, but in future videos, you should have a clear understanding, if you don't, that is the way he operates. So you see what's working for him, what's keeping him in power, and then look at how he shakes when we start to come together. Okay, there must be a problem. There must be an issue. We have to be fighting. We have to be destroying each other. He gets rich off of it. He lives lavishly off of it. Okay. All right, so let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and move on to page 7. I'm just going to touch on, some small things here, and then I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go here. Okay. So this is chapter 2, and it is literally titled Bitch, Hoe, or Queen, the Role of Women in Rap Music and Videos. Okay. Only in a morally bankrupt society would one find popular, for profit, generally accepted, and blatant exploitation of women in the media. Although such exploitation exists in television programs and Hollywood movies, it has become pervasive in rap videos and rap music. We got to hold ourselves accountable, brothers. We got to hold ourselves accountable. Okay. Reading on. Before going further, understand a major point. Teenagers and young adults are the major audience for rap music and videos. They are being desensitized to exploitation while being conditioned to love and enjoy the exploitation of women without even knowing that this is being done to them. Okay. And if you have those disrespectful young boys that, you'd probably get shot by somebody in my family for, calling your mom the B word or calling your grandma a hoe. But it does happen. Okay, so the women are raising monsters. Okay, and the fathers are not there, so that's a large portion of the problem, and we know how that contributes to Esau's kingdom, where we're thrown away in his garbage, in his trash compactors, called jails and prisons. Okay, and that affects us even more. So while he cannot outright keep us in the type of slavery our forefathers were in when they came here, and for some of us that were here already, he can't blatantly do that because everybody's watching. So what does he do? He throws you away. And guess what? Well, you become a slave. You literally become a slave. He doesn't have to pay you anything. And then, you got you got some jakes getting, cents on the dollar, if that, per hour. Cents. All that for commissary. So, and then there's a deeper, darker secret, which this book also brings up. So let me actually get to that really quick here. Let me get to that. So, brothers and sisters, I'm going to go ahead and just skip to, I'm going to go through chapter 4 very briefly. The breakdown of chapter 4. It talks about that one popular disease. There's this big elephant in the room that showed up. I brought this up to my elders. It's funny how this big thing that was infecting specifically blacks and Hispanics, AIDS. All of a sudden, this big elephant pops up in the room, and AIDS just it took a break. It went on a cruise ship. It got on the space. It went somewhere. I've never known anything to completely do that. I've never known that. But anyways, staying back on topic here. Chapter 4 deals with AIDS. Okay, something that is still heavily affecting our people. Okay, and so basically it goes through the breakdown and the myth about the green monkey and the man who had sex with the green monkey, and then the bullshit that came along with that, and then what really happened. It goes into people, brothers feeling defeated. You got things like job loss. You got things like not being able to make ends meet. Looking out your street, what do you see? A lot of times they see people out, see our other brothers destroying other brothers. That's Hosea 4 and 6. Destroying the hell out of each other. Selling crack cocaine, selling, heroin, selling whatever they can, sell to get by. Just try to make ends meet. And then quite often they fall into beef. Somebody got ripped off or they got beat up, or at some point things just ain't working the way they need them to work. And then at some point, here comes that temptation. Well, why is everybody? So let me see what this is about. Now you're hooked. See, and that's just the way they wanted it. Now you're hooked. So now you got brothers and sisters sharing needles. Okay. That's one aspect of it. But what's the other aspect? Those people that aren't so smooth, they get caught up and locked up. Okay. And I'm not saying, if you smooth, you're going to make it. We got to remember the Most High's eyes is 10,000 times brighter than the sun. So what you might be, you might be sitting fat right now because, you made a lot, but you still destroyed your people. And guess what? There's judgment for that. The wind might blow in your hair now, but it's going to catch up to your ass later. Okay. Meanwhile, you got Sharonda and Susie down the street playing jump rope. Devontae playing basketball. Brothers, out there dealing around them, around the kids. The kids is corrupt. Anyways, what's the end of this story? Brothers end up in jail. And then quite often, you got those brothers that's like, if I'm going to go to jail, I'm going to go to jail for something big. I'm not going to no county, nothing, this, that, and the third. And that quite often, that's what happens. That 3-strike law, that didn't take a vacation. So now you got brothers in prison. While you got brothers in prison for various situations, right? While they're in those prisons, they're performing sodomite acts. And you know what I'm talking about. To get protection. Okay? performing sodomite acts to keep from getting gang raped. Okay. Some were raped. Okay. Some became sodomites, and then you have some that were always sodomites. Guess what happens then? The AIDS is brought home, and it is spread to our sisters, girlfriends, wives, side pieces. And then when you look at it, it's still a punishment. It's still a punishment. Do not the scriptures say that, we will be punished by plagues and things that are not in the scriptures? You show me where the AIDS virus is in the scriptures. Good luck with that. Okay, that's another kind of beast. And so this is another reason we need to keep these laws. We have to stay on these laws. Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. The Most High never said, while you climbing this mountain for me, I'm going to give you a gust of wind. So every time a bead of sweat come, you get comfort. No, he's tried that already several times. Go back in the Old Testament, and Israel sinned again, and Israel sinned again, and Israel sinned again. Now we're paying for it. And again, the significant other, our pair, our other half. She's supposed to be a pillar of rest for us, but she's not. As I stated before, she's treated like a wadded up, soiled ball of toilet paper, flushed away. She's used. She is abused. Okay. And quite often when brothers run into a good sister, they want to turn her into a devilish woman. You ain't fast enough for me. You ain't experienced enough. And so what happened now? Now it's reverse. Look at the sisters now. Okay. So anyways, chapter 4 goes into AIDS, goes into the breakdown of AIDS. All right. Chapter 6, it really hits home. Okay. It talks about the playing field that we're on. Okay. The myth of white normalcy. Okay. It goes into the deceit, hypocrisy, and the psychology of white culture. How this world is heavily tailored to barbarism. And you're going to hear me say that over and over again in a lot of these future videos, especially this month. This needs to hit home. Okay. Who usually makes the calls for you when you're sick? Who usually calls the nurse and you talk to your wives, talk to your moms, talk to your sisters, talk to your daughters. They'll tell you these people are so damn barbaric that quite often they jump off the script, and then you have to play the counselor. You have to get them back in shape and then coach them in how to do their damn job. Okay. Barbarism. Straight barbar. The whole personality that we see in this kingdom. These people are Edomites. No one else acts like this. Okay, you only talk to them for a couple of seconds on the phone, just trying to schedule a simple appointment, and you find that why in the hell does she have this job? Why does he have this job? Well, it's because it's their kingdom, and it's highly tailored to their barbarism. It goes into the colonization. Okay, goes into Caucasian domination, the nature of Caucasians being cold. Okay. It goes into not only did they colonize the world, but they colonized the information about the world, which is why you and I have to dig for information. Okay. And how they will do anything to maintain their control. I think they've demonstrated that greatly. Okay. Chapter 7. This is where the accountability comes in. Okay. It even goes into the so-called white woman. It goes into, her pressures and her pains and why. It's not a big portion of the book, but it's just a little small segment. But and why she is the way she is, and why she goes to the black woman to fight her fights. Okay. So she's the one that's also pimped out and prostituted by her king and then beat to all hell. And if you look at, like I just explained with the simple scheduling of an appointment, a simple phone conversation, you see very easily that when sisters do put these women in their place, the first thing they do is cry. They're not that strong. They're not that tough. Okay? They are a nation of barbaric killers that are blessed with the sword, yes. But when it comes to the spiritual side and when it comes to, that mental strength and toughness, they need sisters for that. They always have. Okay, their king is brutal. And this is not to have sympathy for them or anything. But this is another angle how so many things fall back on our sisters. Everything falls on our sisters. It falls on brothers too. But this vid is about our sisters. This book is about our sisters. Definitely pick this book up, brothers and sisters. Anyways, going back to chapter 7, it deals with our accountability as men. Okay. Are we innocent or are we guilty? Okay. Our disrespect. Are devaluing our sisters, calling them bees and hoes, taking our pain out of the world, taking our pain out in this barbaric world against them when we come home. It goes into the rap music, okay? It goes into the pornography, goes into the playboy player lifestyle, the gangster lifestyle, okay? How young boys treat their women. Okay, but then that same man who calls another sister a bee or a hoe or a freak, let somebody else say that to his sister, his aunt, his mom, his grandmother. Somebody getting their head blown off. Does that make any damn sense? Does that make any damn sense? Okay, and not the sidebar here, but brothers and sisters, on those slave ships, the kids and the women were kept up top. So the men had, so them barbarians had access to them. And you know what I'm talking about. Okay. So brothers weren't just thrown off the ships for insurrection, as they put it. That's not why it had nothing to, that was a very small, well, insurrection to them. It's like you got to read between, you got to read the fine print. No one signed any documents, but just using that, metaphorically speaking. A policy with them is an excuse for everything. Look at them the next time they do something wrong and you try to explain to them what they're doing is wrong. The first thing they're going to do, they're going to smile at you. Hey, look, this is my kingdom. And the policy says this. These are the policies. Okay? And that's that wine. That's that wine they spreading around all across the earth. And that's why the earth is going, the people in the earth is going out of their way, the other nations, to be like them. And unfortunately, that crap is happening with our sisters too. But anyways, definitely pick this book up. I don't want to spoil the rest that's in this book. It's a very good read. Brothers, some brothers might be at the tip of their toes when they're reading this book, but there's some things that have to be said. There's some things we have to address. Okay. Of course, go through this book with the scriptures. As always, we have an order. We do have a patriarchal system that was established. Okay, we do have that. But just looking at a couple of things here, there's the other side of the coin that other people don't talk about. Yes, there's a patriarchal system. Yes, we can use Exodus 18:25, about men leading. We can go to Deuteronomy 1:15, and prove that same thing. We can go to Numbers 1:18 and talk about, how, everything was done by the house of the fathers. We can also speak about Deuteronomy 8:8. How, we went by the search of our fathers, 1 Corinthians 11:3, the ordained order. So we know what the order is. We understand all of that. But then what about 1 Corinthians 14:40? Things being done decently in order. Okay. What about Tobit 4:5? Okay. Being mindful of the Most High and not to follow unrighteousness. This stuff would heal our nation. Okay. What about Proverbs 11:29? He that troubleth his own house shall inherit the wind. Okay. What about Sirach 4:30? Be not as a lion in thy house. Okay. Colossians 3:19. Husbands, love your wives and be not bitter to them. Okay. So this is the other side of the coin. This is why we must study to show ourselves approved. And we're doing that. This book is definitely a tool. Our sisters have a story, and not too many people talk about it. And when they do, they don't do the justice. Anyways, brothers and sisters, don't want to take up any more of your time. Hope you having a blessed week. Blessed preparation for Shabbat coming up. This is Brother Uziel from Messengers of the Covenant with another Messengers Library Chronicles. Shalom.